Hey everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am live. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see me okay. I'm a little bit late because I wrapped up my my level 1 reactive dog class here at the New Hampshire SPCA, which is why I'm not at home. Jake is home with Monzo and I'm here wrapping up my reactive dog class. So we wrapped up at 6:45 and some of my students had some great questions. So that's why I'm running a little bit late because I can't not answer a great question. So welcome to part 2 of our live Reactive Dog Chats. Do me a huge favor. If you're joining me live, please tell me if you can hear me. I have a slightly different setup on the road than I do at home. So a little feedback is super helpful. Just let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Tell me in the comments down below if you can hear me and see me. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to assume yes. So we're going to keep going. Thank you so much, Melanie. I appreciate it. I knew I could count on you. You're always here. Thanks, Kelsey. Awesome. Okay. So welcome to our second part of our live Reactive Dog Chats. Tonight we are talking about what do you do when your dog does react? We all hope that that doesn't happen, but it's still really helpful to have a game plan for when the moment does arise. So let me know in the comments below if you have ever found yourself up the creek without a paddle in the moment when you're like, oh my gosh, my dog is freaking out. Well, what the heck am I supposed to do? We were just talking about this in my reactive dog class, so it's perfect. And again, for those of you joining me live, any questions you have or comments, drop them down below. And if you're catching me on the replay, hi, welcome. And feel free to ask any questions, and I'll be sure to check these and make sure that everybody gets the support that they need. Without further ado, let's get started. So, what do you do when you're out with your dog and you find that they're reacting? Well, first, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that that's not the goal. Okay, so whenever possible, we want to keep our dogs what's called under threshold. You can think of their threshold as the line of stress that they're experiencing when all of a sudden, they see a dog and they're like, I'm coping, I'm handling. But when they see the dog and they lose it, that's going over threshold. So whenever possible, we want to keep them under threshold for so many reasons. Okay, I don't, have tons of information about that. If you want more, let me know. But one of the ways that we do that is through management and prevention. So management and prevention, just a quick snippet, like if your dog is reactive to dogs on a walk in the neighborhood, management looks like walking them at a different time. Maybe you walk them in a different location, or maybe you find a new way to exercise them. Does that solve your problem? Temporarily, it does. But that's not my goal. My long-term goal is that you can enjoy your walks with your dog again. But management and prevention is a temporary fix to reduce the behavior. Okay. If you need more help coming up with management and prevention plans or ideas for your reactive dog, do me a favor and head to redpointydog.com/dog guide and get your hands on my free beginner's guide to dog reactivity. It goes over that in great boring detail, but it's really important work. Step 1, you got to get your management and prevention plan in place so you can reduce or eliminate some of their reactivity. Okay, that's not exactly what you came here for. What do we do when my dog does react? Step number 1, get distance. Okay, so I always think seek higher ground. I don't know if you guys are familiar with I don't know the title of the song. I'm going to bring up my reference and I don't know it, but it's How High is the Water, Mama? It's 4 feet high and rising. Now that I've thoroughly embarrassed myself, when we find ourselves like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? We want to create space. We want to give your dog distance from the trigger, from the stressor, whatever it is that's causing the reaction. We want to do that because distance directly affects how your dog is going to handle a trigger. So, in my class tonight, we were talking, and one of my clients was saying they were walking in their neighborhood, minding their own business, and all of a sudden, around a blind corner came another dog, and they were startled. All of a sudden, they were right on top of each other. And so in those moments, the first thing you want to do is create space, because when you're right on top of each other, nothing good is going to happen. So if we can see a dog and then create space, we can reduce their reactivity by reducing the intensity of the perceived trigger. Okay. Things that are further away are just not as intense. Now, a golden retriever 50 yards away that is doing backflips off its owner's chest is pretty intense. You may need more distance from that. But maybe a golden retriever who's just sitting still, not even looking at you, your dog may be okay, even much closer to that. So distance and intensity are key factors, okay? So first thing you need to do is seek distance. How do you seek distance? Hi, Lillian. So we seek distance through what I call the emergency U-turn. When you're up the creek without the paddle. So when my client was walking and all of a sudden the dog was right there, emergency U-turn. Emergency U-turn is a highly reinforcing recall behavior to get your dog back to you in an emergency. With Monzo and Piper, our emergency recall is let's go. It is the only time we say let's go is when we're doing the emergency recall. Emergency U-turn, same thing. So we train this so that it has a high level of association. We train with really tasty, really amazing treats, and we do it infrequently. If you do it every single day, it's just another recall exercise. But if you do it on occasion with really amazing snacks, your dog's going to be like, oh, I can't wait to train for our emergency recall again. The thing about emergency recall is that if you only do it when there's an emergency, it will come to be a trigger in and of itself. I can't tell you how many times I've fallen into this trap myself. I only would use our recall word when we'd see another dog. And pretty soon, when I'd say that word to just practice, Piper would be like, where are they? Because she knew I'd only say it when there's a dog around. Dogs are such keen observers, like so good at observation. So what we want to do is create a high level of association. You can think of it kind of like as a savings account. Every time you practice, you're putting a deposit in your dog's savings account. And eventually you have a pretty good chunk of practice in your dog's savings account. And so what happens then is if you are in the moment where your dog is like, oh, I see a trigger, you can say your cue, get your dog out of that situation. And that is a withdrawal, but you haven't broke the bank yet. And in fact, tomorrow you can go and practice some more. So you can maintain this high level of association so your dog responds when you need them to. And if your next question is, great, Louise, how do I teach the emergency U-turn, emergency recall cue? It is all outlined for you in our free mini course, The Distracted Dog. So you can head to redpointydog.com/distracteddog, and you'll get all the information on the emergency recall, emergency U-turn, exactly how I teach it to my private clients. It's a game changer. Okay, can't recommend it enough. So you can get distance. You can use your emergency U-turn to get distance. So the reaction has happened. You've tried to run away from it. Now what do you do? So one of the things I love teaching is sniffing on cue. Okay. So when a dog experiences a lot of stress, it's really important that we give them some place for that to go. We have a whole video dedicated to this week, so we'll talk more about this. But what I like to do is teach sniffing on cue. So you can U-turn, go to a safe spot, and maybe that trigger is still out there and you're not ready to just move along. What I want you to do is show your dog some treats and toss it in the grass and encourage them to sniff. But here's the thing. If you only do it after a reaction, it's not so much fun anymore. So you can practice sniffing on cue at home so that it becomes something really fun and engaging for your dog to do. And just like I was talking about with the emergency U-turn, we can maintain that investment so that it isn't always practiced in the face of something stressful. And if your dog isn't familiar with sniffing on cue and you want some tips on how to do that, it's all outlined in the Distracted Dog as well. So you can't lose. redpointydog.com/distracteddog, and you can sign up to get all of our resources on teaching the emergency U-turn and sniffing on cue. So 2 really helpful things. So let's say you're out walking and you're on a trail that's pretty narrow and you see a trigger and you U-turn, but there's no safe place for you to go. Maybe there's another dog behind you Maybe there's no place else for you to go, and there's no way your dog is going to sniff for treats. What do? Well, first of all, this sucks. There's no good way around it. There's no good way to put it. And I've never been one to sugarcoat things. When you're in a moment like that and there's nothing you can do, you do what I call grin and bear it. It sucks. What you can do is advocate for yourself and advocate for your dog. Get as much distance as you can. Make sure you are in control so your dog can't get away from you, especially if you think they might hurt a person or another dog. And just get through it. But once it's done, once the stress has gone and the wave has crashed and the dog has moved away, take a moment and take a deep breath, because it's really stressful to be in that moment for you and your dog. I want you to try, if you have it in you, to engage your dog, whether that's just handing them food for free, cueing some behaviors if they can respond before you move on. That's such a critical piece in helping your dog recover from that big stressful event that just happened, and then moving together with a clearer head. Things like that are going to happen because you can't control every outcome. But there is some things you can do proactively to make sure it doesn't. First of all, refer back to your management plan. Don't take your dog to narrow trails where you can't get space. Sometimes, though, you don't know if the trail is narrow until you find yourself there. Jake he found a new trail close to us, and he really wants to explore it with Monzo. And I'm like, no, I want to explore it by myself first. So I always go and explore a trail by myself first to make sure that I can safely create space from triggers if we need to. So he went, and I'm really excited. We're going to go explore it sometime with Monzo. And he made sure that there are, places for us to pull over and move around to safely escape triggers. There are some trails that you're surrounded by water and there's no place for you to go unless you want to go swimming. And that's just not a good place for your dog if they're reactive to people or other dogs. Okay. So if it happens and you have to just grin and bear it, take a deep breath, let your dog take a deep breath, engage them a little bit before you move forward, and then make a plan so that next time you go out, you can minimize those things from happening. The other thing that I love doing, and I outlined this in one of our blog posts, How to Handle an Off-Leash Dog, is I bring a pop-up umbrella with me everywhere. Not because I don't like the rain. I live in New Hampshire. I get rained on all the time. But a pop-up umbrella is a visual barrier that you can bring anywhere with you. So, I took Monzo for a walk by myself this morning, and my pop-up umbrella came with me because if we have to move off trail, I don't have Jake to be a barrier for us, but I could pop up my umbrella and set it on the ground and have a little bit of a visual break from the trigger. It also can help prevent a dog from rushing up to you, especially if that dog is off leash. So if you want more information about that, it's over on our blog and you can comment down below. I'd be happy to send it to you. So I'm going to take a second and go through the comments. See if you guys have any questions. Feel free to drop anything in there. Let's see. Yes. Oh, yeah. My first reactive dog moment was at the Red Pony Dog Retreat, Dog Days of Fall. It was so overwhelming. Yes. It's really hard. It's really hard. There's just, I'm not going to lie. It's hard. It's hard being attached to a dog that's having a big emotional response. And there's not a lot in that moment that can be done besides moving away and making a plan for tomorrow. But if I remember correctly, I think he ended up recovering and doing okay. But yeah, I'm glad you were with us too. Let's see. Mary has the most sophisticated dog radar. She can see a dog from what seems like miles away and reacts before I know what she's reacting to. Okay, I love this question. So Melanie, Mary is really sensitive. And when they're hyper vigilant like this and really sensitive, I'm wondering if Mary has any herding dog in her. But anyway, I want you to check out our blog post on the, what did I title it? The self-regulation games for reactive dogs. The thing is all reactive dogs, all sensitive dogs are going to have days that are harder than others. They're going to have reactions. That's going to happen for the rest of time. Okay. I'm always going to overreact. It's just going to happen. But what we can do is make sure we minimize the frequency and minimize the intensity. And the best way to do that is with teaching these on-off games are these games for self-regulation. So take a look at that and talk about it with Jake too, because I'm sure he's working on some of that stuff with you guys already. What are your thoughts on magnet hands? Kelsey, I think this is an exercise that you're talking about that I'm not super familiar with. So tell me, give me some more information, be more specific, and I can help you out with that. Pop-up umbrella, brilliant. Yes. I love it. And yeah, this has happened. So Lillian is my sister, and we went for a walk with Piper. We used to walk together a lot. And there was a jogger, and I had my umbrella, and I was able to continue to eat my muffin, walk Piper, and enjoy our walk together. It was a big umbrella, so I was really glad about that. And Mary does have herding dog in her. I knew it. Yes. Sounds all too familiar. Awesome. Okay, you guys, if you have any questions while we're still here, go ahead and pop them in the comments below. So a couple of things, let's just recap. When your dog is in the moment reacting, the first thing you want to do is create space, seek distance, find higher ground, get to a safe place. The best way you can do that is by training the emergency U-turn. You can get all of that lesson information in our free mini course, The Distracted Dog. So redpointydog.com/distracteddog, or comment down below. I can send it to you. And so you can get to that safe space where you can practice training. You can just remove your dog from the trigger. So then what you do when the trigger goes by is you want to spend some time with your dog recovering. So you can do sniffing on cue, which is also outlined in The Distracted Dog, or anything else that helps your dog just down regulate from that level of intensity. And when you're in the moment and there's nothing else you can do, you can't move away, and you're just kind of stuck there, you have to just wait it out. You can ask the person, just keep going, right? You can try and communicate to them, or you can just focus on your dog and what's going on between you and your dog in that moment. Try and keep it together, take deep breaths. And once that trigger is gone, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, encourage some kind of engagement with your dog before you move on. And then tomorrow, try and make a better management plan so that you don't find yourselves in those situations again. Okay. Because if your dog isn't ready for it, you're not ready for it. And I want you to make a plan so that you can be. Okay. And if you need help making that plan, I'm right here. You can always reach out to me. All right, you guys, I hope this was helpful. Let me just bring up the schedule so I can tell you what we're doing tomorrow. So let's see, tomorrow, Wednesday, we're talking about decompression. So I mentioned this a little bit with sniffing on cue. We're going to talk about ways you can help your dog recover from a reaction. I don't know if a lot of you guys watching, if you've walked your dog and they've had a reaction, you've probably seen how likely they are to immediately have another one. Once that stress is high, it stays high. And there's some techniques we can use to help them decompress, down regulate, to help them kind of face the next stressor with a clearer head. So that's tomorrow. Thursday, we're talking about why food might not be working for your reactive dog. So if your dog's food motivated and things are going great, amazing, you won't need this one. But for a lot of people, they find that their dog won't eat food away from home. So we're going to talk about why that happens. And then on Friday, this is the most important part of the week, we're talking about self-care for guardians to these sensitive dogs. Because living with one is hard, training one is hard, and just being their advocate takes a lot of energy from us. And I'm here to tell you, it's the best thing in the world, but it is very difficult. And so it's important that we take some time to take care of ourselves. So we'll be talking about that on Friday. Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this was helpful. Do me a favor, and if you like this, share this video with a friend or just share it on your Facebook post. Copy and paste the link. The more people we can reach, the bigger impact we can have, and we really appreciate you for it. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you learned something. Tell your dog I said hi, give them a treat from me, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye for now.